Well, hello, everybody. It is Thursday once again, and we find ourselves here for another live episode of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm. Gamez Law fights for 50 years. They've been fighting, and they'll fight today, tomorrow, and beyond. And once again, we are broadcasting live from inside the luxurious Lexus RZ 450E. It's fully electric. So when we're done, I have to plug this thing in here in a little while. Courtesy of North Park Lexus of San Antonio and North Park Lexus at Dominion. I say all of that, well, first of all, to thank my sponsors, but secondly, to introduce our guest who knows a thing or two about luxury vehicles. You usually sit on this side, though.
Yes.
This is Duane Roundtree. You are the owner, operator, the creator of RCLLC Transportation Services.
I am.
And before we get into all of that, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge, first of all, hello to everybody watching, and tell us where you're watching from or what you're doing today. But you may have seen this morning on my social media, I started the day off with an announcement that, in fact, Duane was kind enough to kick off the month of February as a brand new sponsor for Pickup Lines. So let me thank you, first of all, for that, and say how much I appreciate your support and everything, and looking forward to helping you out as much as I can here with our show. So I think a lot of people are going to enjoy your story and what you do and realize I could use that in my life. So let's start with RCLLC. What does that stand for?
That's a mouthful, but it's a lot easier to say than Roundtree Consulting LLC Transportation Services. So when I registered my DBA under my LLC with the state, right, I decided to abbreviate it, hence RCLLC Transportation.
It rolls off the tongue easier, and it fits on the business card better, I guess, and everything.
Fits on a business card.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so once upon a time, you did not grow up in San Antonio, did you?
Technically, no. Although I'm an Air Force grad.
Military.
I came here from Japan when I was 18 years old.
You went to high school in Japan?
Yes, I graduated high school in Japan, and my dad got stationed here, and I was at the tender age of 18 years old, and have been here ever since.
You went to UTSA, is that right?
I did.
So we got a road runner in the house here. See, I'm thinking, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I was thinking, football games next fall, maybe you find Duane here and he takes you to the tailgating and all of it. But we'll get to that here in just a little bit. So transportation services, as the name would imply, you transport people around, and it's not just, you were an Uber driver before. You have thousands of trips under your belt, correct?
I did.
As an Uber driver.
Interesting story too behind that. I became an Uber driver not intentionally.
Right.
So I had this obsession with cars, and one in particular, who is my other woman. Her name is Christine.
And your wife is okay with this?
Depends on what day you ask her and what time of the day it is.
Okay.
But this became a very expensive obsession, and the wife said, "Look, you can't be compromising our finances with this obsession of yours." So I made a deal with her. So tell you what I'll do. I'll start driving Uber on the side, because I got a corporate business development job, and I promised her I would never spend household funds on Christine.
We just so happen to have a photo of Christine. She is beautiful.
That's my girl.
Okay, and your wife approves because, well, not only, so you became an Uber driver essentially to fund the other woman in your life.
Exactly. That sounds so bad. But.
Well, no, somebody's going to start watching right now and be like, what kind of show is this? Wait a minute. No, we're talking about the car.
Family values.
Talking about the car. So anyway, so you're driving Uber and
paying for Christine.
Yeah.
So, I have a corporate business development background, and, I'm used to taking care of heads of very large corporations needing to deliver a really high level of service and experience. And I just translated that to when I was driving Uber, I had a really clean car, I'm a safe driver.
Right.
I, communicate fairly well with people. And frequently I would get asked the question, hey, is there a way that we could consistently get you as our driver? And I said, well, technically that's hard to do.
Yeah.
But if you manipulate the system a little bit, you can kind of do it. Won't get into that. But as time kept going by, I kept getting more and more requests. I started to accept some of the requests, but, the demand for different vehicles. Because I started off with a 4-door sedan. Yeah. And that evolved into a minivan. And when people wanted a higher level of service, like a luxury type SUV, and that required me to get an SUV. And then I started being asked for a large van for large groups of people, wanted to attend events, winery tours in the hill country. So I ended up with this 12-passenger van, which was really scary because I had a lot of trepidation there.
So, believe it or not, right behind us, you see part of the fleet. It's behind Duane's head here. A very shiny, beautiful. Yeah, there's an SUV back there, and then is that the 12-passenger?
Yes, big old
in the back. But I posted pictures today on my social media, so you can see these are the vehicles that I was talking about. Brandy Mills says hello. Hi, Brandy. Thank you as always for your support. So there's a million different reasons why you would want to have someone like you driving, for obvious reasons, if you're going to go out and have a good time or whatever the case may be. Or if you're like me and I detest, like, driving is okay. I don't like driving in traffic. Call me spoiled, call me whatever you want. I'm not a fan.
I call you smart. These San Antonio drivers are
the construction too. It's the construction.
It
just irritates me.
Yes.
So you're driving Uber. You have these thousands of 5-star ratings and thousands of trips under your belt. And so maybe while you were driving, you start to kind of conceive this idea that, okay, I want to keep driving, but how can you elevate the experience?
Exactly. So I had a gentleman. He was in town for a few days attending a funeral, and he's with an adult son and his wife.
Right.
And of course, I'm having conversations because I ended up driving them for those 2 days. And he says, what do you plan to do with this? I said, well, I'm kind of starting to think I might like to do this on a full-time basis.
Right.
And he said, well, can I give you a piece of advice? I said, sure. He says, don't stop. You're good at this. I said, in fact, we'd like to adopt you and move you to Dallas.
What? Wait a minute.
So I thought, wow, this guy. So those words kind of echoed like, hey, I'm onto something here, and I kept getting positive feedback from passengers. I have a growing book of business of regular clients that they appreciate that the choreography.
Yes.
We know each other's steps.
Right.
I know where to be, when they want me there.
Right.
And they know what condition the vehicle's going to be in.
Right.
I know all their friends, so when they say, hey, take me to so-and-so's house, I already know where it is. So.
No, there's a lot of value in that, and you're so right about, times in the past when I've gotten into an Uber with a driver and you just love the driver. You instantly connect. And you're like, man, I wish I could hold on to you, or can you give me your cell and I can just call you next time? And I know, that's not as, like you said, it's not as simple as that.
It's not.
So then you conceive the idea of RCLLC Transportation Services, and obviously you have to acquire a fleet, some vehicles.
So you can operate like an actual limousine company
Right.
or bus company and have to have a fleet. I'm doing a hybrid method.
Okay.
So I've got a platform that provides me with all my compliance with the different city code requirements and insurance liabilities, that those things are in place. That's all covered.
Right.
It's actually an independent rideshare platform designed for people that want to start their own rideshare company like me. And there's only myself and one other person doing it the way that we're doing it.
Yeah.
With the big van and the black car service. But it's working exceedingly well. I kind of got the attention of some rather high-end luxury hotels downtown San Antonio.
Yes.
One of which I've got an actual official relationship with as an approved vendor. So,
we can't mention the names, but let's just say it's located near the Pearl. It rhymes with Gemma, and you've probably heard of it before. But that's the thing. You get one of those properties or multiple properties, and you hold on to them for dear life.
Right. Yeah, and they're very, very protective of their rating.
Absolutely.
They got a very, very exclusive recognition as, I think, the #1 5-star hotel in the country.
Yes.
A couple years back by Travel Magazine.
Right.
And they're pretty darn protective of their relationship, their reputation.
Right.
So when they're putting these high-touch clients, as they like to call them, in my vehicle, they're entrusting that experience is going to be very consistent with what they're already getting as a guest of the hotel.
So that's a nice way of saying a celebrity or a CEO or someone of significant stature that maybe wants to kind of travel with a low profile, not draw too much attention to themselves, and doesn't want to mess around with just any ordinary driver.
Right. Or they want a competent driver that's going to be there on time, not going to cause them to miss their flight.
Right.
I've heard some horror stories of people that actually missed a flight.
That's terrible.
Because of a driver that was either late.
I don't want that.
Or didn't really know the route very well, didn't speak the language, and they couldn't help the driver correct their error because they couldn't communicate. Absolute nightmare scenarios.
So is it safe to say you've had celebrities in your vehicle before? You've driven celebrities. Are you at liberty to say, to drop any names?
I wouldn't say not at liberty, but not a big name dropper.
Okay,
but there's been some pretty high level, I guess, highly recognizable comedians that have.
Well, because they come to town, they're performing, they're probably staying downtown or at the Gemma, if you know what I mean, and so I get what you're saying. So take me through the process. Let's just say comedian X is coming to town, major headliner, household name. How does that happen? Like, because I'm guessing like there's an on-call aspect to your job, right? You have to be available or as often as you can, right?
So these scenarios can be very surprisingly pop-up in nature.
Okay.
You would think, like, to your point, they know they're coming.
Right.
There's a schedule. It's on the calendar.
Right.
You would think they'd have all these things in place. But sometimes something goes a little awry last minute where a previous arrangement fell through.
Correct.
Which is kind of how I got into said hotel, because they had a situation where a very high-touch client was left stranded. And they reached out to me and said, hey, can you bail us out here?
Right.
And I just so happened to be in a position to do so.
Yeah.
And I guess that went well enough to where I was invited to do the same thing again. And then that evolved into an officially recognized relationship, vendor-client relationship. So to answer your question, how it would work, yes, in the perfect scenario, they know in advance this person's coming. Right. This person has requested transportation.
Right.
They say the hotel concierge staff say, yes, ma'am or sir, we can certainly accommodate you. Other times it's, last minute, oh my gosh, Duane, can you please help us?
Yeah.
There's that.
You get a panic call.
Yeah. And then there's repeat clients. There's people that have utilized my service before.
Yeah.
Or they know someone that has and they got a referral. And, I've got a website, very interactive.
Right.
Where they can view my live calendar.
Okay.
And book a reservation without even talking to me.
So speaking of which, RCLLC Transport.com is the website. That's where you want people to go to, like you said, check out the calendar, book Duane's service, RCLLC Transport.com. So Adam Mendez is asking, did we both plan the matching coats? We did not plan the matching coats.
Not a bromance.
No, not yet. Not yet.
I'm working on it.
I do plan on utilizing Duane very soon, because I was thinking you've got, the Super Bowl's coming up. You got Valentine's Day coming up. You've got the rodeo coming up. And then Fiesta's not too far behind. Like I said, you mentioned before Hill Country wine day trips. There are a million different reasons.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I got 2 requests today after you posted on your social media accounts. One of them I'm pretty sure was because he saw the LinkedIn post.
Oh, cool.
And that's exactly what they asked about. They're looking into, going and touring some wineries up in the Hill Country.
Yeah.
And they're requesting a quote, which is another thing you can do on the website. There's a button that says request quote.
Right.
And you just fill out a few lines of information that I need to provide an accurate quote.
Right.
And I respond.
Well, listen, I'm not in the business of being preachy or anything, but obviously we don't condone anybody drinking and driving. But that's the thing is peace of mind to me is priceless, because you know you're going to go to a winery, or you're going to go to the rodeo or a Spurs game or whatever. And you're probably going to indulge in a couple beverages, and having you there. Another thing that I really like about what you do is the fact that you said earlier, the Frostbank Center like the back of your hand.
Exactly.
You know where to drop people off, like literally right there at the front. And I've walked to the ride-sharing line after a game in the rain before, and you can bypass all of that and basically be right there.
Yes, so we're, as a black car service, and I'm recognized as such by the parking lot staff, they wave me right through. I drop my passengers off right at the VIP entrance, and I pick them up the same place. In fact, I'm waiting for them when the event, whether it be a concert or a Spurs game, ends, and they get in and we leave. Conversely, to your point, the rideshare lot, that's a good 3-4 minute walk from the arena. And when it's inclement weather.
It was raining when I went, yes.
And out-of-towners, I don't know that. They're sometimes standing there right by the arena where I am, waiting for their Uber, but the Uber driver can't get there because they're not allowed to drive over there. Yeah. So the Uber driver ends up canceling because they don't show up. Now they're even longer. Yeah. So what I started doing, I can recognize it when I see it. I've gone up to people and said, "Are you looking for your Uber?" Yeah. Okay, well, you're in the wrong place. Right. First of all, you need to walk over that way. Yeah. And then I've had them ask, "Well, are you available?" And sometimes I am.
Instant business.
If I'm not there because of a specific group of people.
Adam's asking, what is the website again? So I'll give it to you here. And I do have it posted on my socials, by the way, too. It's RCLLC Transport.com, all right? RCLLC Transport.com. So, like last week, I think, they announced was it Billy Joel and Sting concert that's coming in the fall. And I immediately thought of you because I was like, the Alamo Dome concert, like Bad Bunny, Pink. I've heard that I went to Elton John at the Alamo Dome. Was it a couple of Octobers ago?
Yes.
nightmare. Like
Absolute nightmare. There's no way they can accommodate that volume of people all trying to get out of there at the same time. And some of these concerts you mentioned, there were corresponding events occurring at the then named AT&T Center at the same time. So these events were ending right about the same time.
Yeah.
So that really put a stress on the rideshare resources.
Right.
Not to mention the poor ingress and egress from the facilities.
Yes.
The police start blocking our streets. Right. You can't go a certain way. So these drivers, they're like, hey, I'm not going in that mosh pit. I'm not going in there.
Thank you. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Mark's asking a very good question. He says, has anybody suggested putting the info of Duane in the post? The short answer is yes. And what I do is, after the episode is over, I will go back later on this afternoon, and I will put everything that we've talked about on all the social media handles. And so, Mark, you are right on, and I'm picking up what you're throwing down. So in the meantime, I'll mention RCLLC Transport.com as the website. And again, later today, all of it, everything we've discussed will be posted right here, wherever you're watching this. So
and you can find me on social media too. It's actually RCLLC Transportation when it comes to the social media accounts. But the website is, in fact, RCLLCtransport.com because that's what was available as a domain.
Adam, Luke Combs is coming. I just know, like I said, the rodeo, that's like 2 straight weeks of stuff.
Concerts.
The Spurs obviously have, 41 home games here at the Frostbank Center and everything. So getting back to your, what did you call them, high-touch clients?
High-touch clients.
Okay. So I'm curious what your methodology is. Let's just say, again, comedian X, super famous, household name, gets in your vehicle. Is it your practice to strike up a conversation with them, or how do you handle it when a multi-million-dollar household name celebrity is sitting right behind you?
First of all, you read the room.
Okay.
If they want to talk, there's certain cues you can pick up on. If there's they do not want to talk and want to ride and see peace and solitude, you pick up on that as well. So I'm really looking to feed off the energy I'm reading from them. I've been surprised at just how congenial some of these people are.
Right.
Sometimes they're just regular Joes. Sometimes these people that I don't actually recognize who they are.
Right.
I've had a country music performer.
Right.
The guy that sang that song, My Boy, LV Shane.
Okay.
Okay, the guy was so humble. He admitted that, yes, he was a performer, but he didn't tell me this guy had been at the CMA Awards and had won awards. It was after I looked him up on Spotify after, I'm like, whoa, this guy totally downplayed himself.
Right.
And then I started listening to his music. Like, this guy's great.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how that happens?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And I guess, too, like, just going back to your Uber driving career, I mean...
Which is over, by the way.
Well, it's over.
It's been supplanted.
But... I mean, you never know who's going to get in your vehicle. I can only imagine some of the adventures you had with people that got in your car.
So thank you for bringing that. That brings up a very good point. So there was a Nelly concert last year's rodeo.
I was there.
Right about this time of year.
I remember.
And there was a certain night I was, as an Uber driver, I'm there looking to, take advantage of a situation where people maybe are having a hard time getting out of there. And I've got the window cracked, and there's this group of ladies standing there. And I overhear their frustration at trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
So I said, excuse me, ladies, are you having a difficult time getting out of here? And their answer was yes. Well, what do we have to do? So I recommend they do something like look up the luxury trip called Premier, because there weren't as many Premier drivers, and I was right next to them.
Right. And
the odds are they were going to get me if they requested me, which they did. Well, I want you to know that the person in the group that opened up her Uber app and requested me, the ensuing conversation as I took these 6 ladies home to their individual homes, but they all lived in Alamo Heights area. She found out what it is I do, got my contact information, reaches out to me like 2-3 weeks later and says, hey, don't know if you remember me or not.
Right.
However, I rode in your car and you told me about your business, and Fiesta's coming up, and she said, that's my jam.
That's it. Yeah.
Every year. Could I book about 6 or 7 trips with you? I'm like, absolutely. Well, to this day, she, aside from the hotel we keep talking about, she is my number 1 client. I drive her everywhere, whether she's going to perform. Last night, she went to a show at the Tobin Center.
Okay.
Drinks at Ocho. She knows who I'm talking about if she's listening.
Yes.
Hi, Katie.
So,
no matter what she's doing, she says, Wayne, it's just too easy to ride with you.
But that's great, though. I mean, that's just how, again, if you don't have to deal with the designated driver, and you don't have to worry about the being stuck in traffic, and your vehicles are large enough to where you got a little elbow room, and they're clean. I mean, and everything, and so I know you take a lot of pride in that.
You sat in the van once.
I have.
It's just like a living room type environment.
No, it's very spacious, spacious, and
corporate business events. they like that because they can interact with each other during the trip, especially if we're going someplace like Austin or Dallas, which I've done on a number of occasions. So it's very conducive to interacting.
We were talking about the idea of a party bus, and I know you kind of were telling me that there are party buses for those kinds of things, but you're not necessarily a party bus.
I do not advertise my service as a party bus because I get these images of poles and balloons and but people,
neon lights and
people do have fun. I mean, it's got a rear entertainment system. There's a karaoke machine, that was just a suggestion from a particular client who was already named because that's one of her jams. Yeah. But the acceptance of that thing, the response has been really great. So yes, people do end up having a great time, and are they partying? Sure, but I, don't tout it as a party bus, per se, because I want to cater to the executive class.
It's an elevator, like I said. There are services for that if you want the pole and you want the neon lights and the bubbles and all that stuff. But if you're looking the hot tub, Duane does not have a hot tub in any of his vehicles. But if you want the elevated, experience, the VIP elevated experience, this is exactly what you're going to deliver on and everything. So you were telling me a story not too long ago about, I don't know if it was like you were still on the fence or you were getting close to kind of taking that leap from Uber to what you're doing now. And you were talking about, I can't remember which vehicle it was, but you were deciding whether to make that purchase.
It was the van. So I was doing really well with the SUV, the Expedition. And I kept getting requests for more people than that vehicle could accommodate.
A larger vehicle.
And these big vans, these Sprinter type vans, mine's a Transit, but it gets called a Sprinter all the time because it looks like one.
Right.
Well, they're not cheap. So I had the hotel we keep talking about tell me, hey, we have a demand for that sort of thing. So we would definitely use that if you have one. And then my number one retail client, she said, Duane, the day you get that thing, I will book no fewer than 2 or 3 events with you, which she did. So anyway, I find myself, I've been shopping online and I found what I wanted. It was in California, unfortunately, the best deal I could find. Right. So I'm over here trying to decide on the Southwest Airlines app, do I do it? Do I do it? And a buddy of mine says, he's in the business too. So what are you doing? There's no sense in crashing with the brakes on.
Yeah.
Scared money doesn't make money. Are you doing it or not?
Scared money doesn't make money.
Yeah. So I hit the button. I booked the flight. I got no sleep that night. On the plane, I'm wondering, what am I doing?
Oh, my gosh.
And then I got there, I wasn't going to turn around and fly back.
Nope.
So I bought that thing and drove back. And on the way back, I'm like, what did I do? And the next morning, I woke up and it was in my driveway. Like, what have I done? Oh, my goodness. But then, Katie came through.
She's the one that said she would book multiple.
Yes.
And I told you, too, I keep using the jumping out of a plane analogy. Mm-hmm. It's like you're on the edge of the plane, the door frame, and you're holding on for dear life. You're like, I don't want to jump, and you're looking down like, I can't do it. No, I don't want to do it. And finally, when you finally do it, and you realize, all right, I'm not going back in the plane.
Exactly.
Like, what are you going to do when you get to the ground? Or how are you going to land?
I can tell you what's happened. As a result of going ahead and taking that leap of faith and procuring this vehicle, it has elevated RCLLC Transportation to another level because there's things that I can provide that you simply cannot do in an SUV.
Right.
And it's not that level. So it's I tapped into a different class of clientele because of it, and it's allowed me to enhance my brand. Yeah. And pretty much, I'm going to say the lion's share of the growth that's occurred since acquiring that vehicle last August has been largely because of that van.
Yeah, well, no, I totally get it. Now, let's get back to Christine here. This is your other woman in your life. Do you ever drive her anymore?
She's a garage queen.
She's a garage queen.
But on nice weather weekends, she comes out of the garage. It's
and you're not picking up people in this thing.
Well, it's over 700 horsepower vehicle. So I'm not in the business of terrorizing my passengers.
I get it.
So
I love it.
I haven't yet, but I think I'm gonna get a request one day. Someone's gonna say, "Hey,
somebody's gonna see. I want Christine." They're gonna see this. And they're gonna say, "I will only accept a ride in Christine." So you'll have to negotiate that. We'll have to see.
We'll have to talk about that.
We'll have to see. All right, a few more minutes here with Duane Roundtree with RCLLC Transportation Services. So is this your full time? Oh, you're all in on this right now?
I am all in. The last position I held was at a company. They got acquired. They ended up with a surplus of business development reps in my particular vertical. And despite not really being eligible for a severance package, I got one. Yeah. And it was more than I was actually eligible to receive. Right. And I was thinking, you know what, I'm kind of getting close to retirement age here. And I had some aspirations of having a little bit less stress in my life and something I enjoy. I love cars. I love having excuses to own multiple vehicles. I'm pretty conversational, so I mix all that together.
Yeah.
And it kind of developed into an enterprise. So this is 100% of my income-producing activity.
Well, your job is safe because they keep building highways and expanding roads here in San Antonio, and they can't quite invent the self-driving car to perfection yet. So I think you're safe for a while.
Yeah, I'm optimistic with all the growth that's taking place, especially downtown. All these high-rises, they're growing vertically,
right?
Because they cannot grow, laterally or horizontally.
No, they got.
But these people, owning a car is becoming more of a liability when it comes to trying to drive around, navigate these streets,
find a parking spot.
Exactly. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So I'm here to help.
So, best case scenario, future plans. I mean, you want to add more vehicles, or what would you like to do?
So currently, I am RCLLC Transportation's only official driver on the payroll. However, I've got close affiliations with another gentleman who's a very, very close business associate of mine. His business is modeled just like mine. Mm-hmm. He's got the big van. He's got a black BMW sedan. So when I get overflow of business, I lob business over the fence to him.
Okay.
I have a son who, when he's not busy working his regular job, he's driven a little bit here and there.
Okay.
So
all people that you trust and would deliver on the same kind of stuff that you would do.
Correct.
So, okay. Now, some people may be watching this and thinking, okay, I need to do this. But you probably don't want them to wait to the last minute, because I'm guessing that as these events come up, the rodeos and the fiestas and that it's going to book up pretty fast.
It can, which is why I did the live calendar so that people can jump in there.
You can see
months in advance. I mean, a year in advance, you can have your time slot reserved for you. Once you've done that, it's yours.
And do you book in blocks of time, or how does that work?
So if they go to my website and click the submit reservation button, they're going to see basic transportation as one class, 2-hour continuous service, and 3-hour continuous. So by default, the 2-hour is intended for the SUV because the minimum hourly requirement for the SUV is 2 hours.
Okay.
For the MPV, the multi-passenger van, it's 3 hours. But either one of them can be manipulated to be what they need to be.
Yeah. It's
just it gives them a way to indicate what their desire is, what level of service.
Right.
So either they want me just for a one-way trip, round trip, or a continuous where, hey, we're going to book you for the day, make multiple stops, and just not have to worry about how many stops or how long it takes as much as just
check it off your
time and there we go.
Again, peace of mind, people. Just peace of mind.
The easy button. You can create the easy button.
I love it. Well, I'm just so thrilled again to be able to talk more about your story and kind of that why. Why did you do this? Why did you take that leap? I mean, I know you went to UTSA, and was it marketing, or you studied
business management, marketing?
Yeah, you could have done a million other things, but
I was in corporate business development for over 20 years.
Yeah,
I was in communications, in building communications, and technology that I had a lot of fun with. But I will tell you, my highest stress day I can come up with doing RCLLC is probably exponentially lighter than my best day doing the corporate business development role.
So you don't miss the Uber driving days?
Well, I'm not going to talk bad about it because that's how I got here.
Sure, of course.
However, goodness, it's kind of a mess now.
I would think it's the Uber driving. It can be less. I'm just assuming less predictable in terms of who's going to get in your vehicle, as opposed to what you do now. You control a lot of it.
Exactly.
You kind of know the clientele that are going to be calling you or booking with you.
Yeah, I mean, even when I did Uber, I was careful about the kind of people that I drove, sticking to the premium class, the Uber Premier.
Got it.
Some people call it black, because of what city you live in. But with that, you still don't know exactly who you're getting. Okay. And that goes both ways.
Yeah.
The passengers don't know exactly what driver's coming.
No.
They don't know what kind of car or what kind of condition the car is going to be in. I heard some really crazy stories about the condition of the vehicles.
Yeah.
Cleanliness,
not getting 5 stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen, again, I'm thrilled, and also that you have chosen to sponsor Pickup Lines. I just love it, and I cannot wait to come up with a reason to take Tammy out, or a date night, or figure out something with the rodeo, so I can get in one of these and have you drive us around. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Looking forward to giving you a fantastic experience.
Very good.
That you can brag about.
Duane Roundtree, ladies and gentlemen, RCLLC Transportation Services, the website, rcllctransport.com. You can go on there right now and, plan your events, and then obviously see if he has the availability to take you and your guests to and from. And, again, just not have to worry about the hassle, the parking and the traffic and the mess and everything. So, great to see you, sir. All the best. continued success. All right, very good. There you have it. Another edition of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm. Another episode tomorrow and another announcement tomorrow to tell you about, too. So stay tuned for all of that. One more time, RCLLC Transport.com. Duane Roundtree will take good care of you. Until next time, everybody, have a great day. Bye for now.